Okay, I think we are live.
Great.
A breezy and cool afternoon to everyone on board. On behalf of Oriental College of Education and the management, myself, Assistant Professor Kinkini Datta, take the privilege to seek permission to start off with our 1 week long value added program. Our college have always been the flag bearer to innovative practices in teaching learning, providing quality platforms to students to sharpen their skill set for 21st century teachers. Adhering to the needs of current times, the program aims at providing an introductory stepping stone for Gen Z teachers. In the coming week, we shall sail through the expertise of esteemed resource persons across various fields with whom we are fortunate enough to get in contact with. I would request our principal, Honorable Dr. Sangeeta Nath ma'am, to now come in and let us through a brief glimpse of what the program holds for us.
Thank you, Kinkini. A very good afternoon to all. Honorable Management of Oriental Education Society, President Mrs. Humera Khan Ji, ma'am. Our General Secretary, Mr. Wasim J. Khan, sir. Our Treasurer, Dr. Ajim J. Khan, sir. Dr. Haidare Karar, CEO of Oriental Education Society. Invited principals from different colleges, all the participants who are watching through YouTube Live, Value Added Education Program. Welcome Ms. Susma Nair, who is a teacher trainer and learning strategist. We and our students are feeling very proud to have you on this outset.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. A few days back, we had planned this value-added program. It is a part of curriculum through which we can give our students or we can provide our students the employability skills, the soft skills, personality development, communication skills, and how they can be a very good teacher in a modern era that we call Generation G learners. So for them, we are preparing the teachers. It's not simple a teacher education program, or only BEd degree is not sufficient to meet the challenges of today's scenario. So it's a plan, it's a program that we schedule for 4 days since August 1st till 4th of August. We'll conduct every day this online session for the students, for the BEd students, so that they can, it will help to succeed in their life. They can gain something, they can have that employability skill, and they can sustain in CIE board schools. So it's a we are very happy today. We have Susma Nair, who is going to focus on the soft skills and so many other things that is needed for CIE board teachers. She will highlight. And the second day we have Manpreet Kaur, the eminent alumni of OCE. And on 3rd of August, we are having Miss Pragyamita Sen and Miss Sital Urseti, who are also the alumni of the institution, but they are consistently working with CIE board since 10 years. And at the end, in the 4th day, we'll focus on how to become the classroom ready to teach the Generation G learners. It's not a overnight work, or we cannot complete it within 4 years, within 4 days. Rather, you have to practice all these things. You have to reflect your the skills that you have learned today in the next internship or in your job. Then only that reflection will show how much you have gained from this value added program. On the 4th day, that is 4th of August, we'll have Dr. Rashmi Chaudhary Madam, who is the principal of OESIS. So today is our first day. Let us begin with a good prayer to the Almighty. Wish you all the best, dear students.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Without further ado, I would take few minutes from the students and our esteemed guest to introduce her to you properly. The first chapter holds for you the essence of character building, catering to essentials for the IB board. And we have amongst us Ms. Shushma Nair. Madam is passionate about technology integrated learning as well as designing and facilitating better ways of delivering curriculum to learners. She has more than 15 years of experience in the field of education and had been a part of various educational initiatives like teacher training, curriculum designing, and whatnot. She has also worked as a manager for India in New Zealand Tertiary College for her. As a learning strategist right now with IRA Education, she had assisted with consulting agencies from the ICSE and IGCSE board schools. Currently, she holds the position as the head strategy and growth at Chetna Education. And many more, I think I might have missed some. But we are very lucky to have you here on us with us. I welcome Madam to chair today's session on developing personality and soft skills as a requisite for our students. I'm sure the students will have a positive outlook towards their career building after this. Without further ado, ma'am, the chair belongs to you.
Thank you so much, Kinkini, for that warm welcome. Just one small bit I'd like to mention. I no longer hold the position of head strategy with Chetna Education. That's just one minute change that's there. That's about it. Other than that, I still am more than connected with Chetna Education, but I don't hold that position anymore. Thank you so much, Oriental College, the esteemed management, Principal Ma'am, Dr. Sangeeta Nath, and my batchmates who are now teachers there, who recommended that I should be a part of this value-added program that has been planned for the teachers of tomorrow. And I think it's a privilege for me and an honor that I'm able to start off this program for you. Today, we're going to focus on soft skills that are needed in international board schools, specifically specifically in the CIE program. I would request Kinkini ma'am to kind of allow me to present.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Kinkini. Thank you so much, Kinkini ma'am. We will be looking at soft skills that are required for. I somehow can't see the screen. Is there an issue? Sorry. Okay, now I can. So we will be focusing on soft skills needed to becoming a teacher in any school that's offering you Cambridge International Curriculum, or for that matter, even the IB curriculum as you go ahead further. But what I want you to focus on, students, is that any curriculum that's going to be there is going to have its own independent training as well. I want you to be aware of it. But at the same time, our qualification of B.Ed is equally important. It's like the first step that you're going to take towards it. Before we get to the soft skills, I'd be walking you through very quickly with, because we're really tight on time for the first session. So I will be walking you through what it means to be what is CIE curriculum as such, and what it means to be a CIE teacher. What are the standards for it? What are the attributes of a Cambridge learner? And how is it that you can become a CIE teacher? As well as what are the soft skills that you'll require. So without much ado, I'm going to begin with our first bit about Cambridge International Board. This is a curriculum that's been developed by Cambridge Assessment International Education, popularly known as the CAIE. It's a not-for-profit organization and a part of Cambridge University. Across India, there are over 400 schools, but across the world, we have about 10,000 schools that are offering the Cambridge curriculum. It's one of the largest international qualification provider, especially for the 14 to 19-year-olds. And in India, a lot of students prefer to go to the Cambridge IGCSE school if they are wanting to do their undergrad degree abroad. Okay, so that's where they focus on enrolling in a Cambridge school. But what does this mean to be in a Cambridge school? Cambridge has a clear pathway that's been laid out from the age of 33 to 19. The first part is the age 3 plus is the Cambridge early years, what we call in our regular schools as kindergarten. And for age plus 5, they have the Cambridge primary, which is our primary section. And now with the NAP, we're going to have more changes in the way that we're going to address these age groups and what are we going to call, and the nomenclature is going to certainly change. Cambridge from age 11 will be the Cambridge lower secondary. And it also has classroom as well as external assessments. All these have classroom assessments as well as external assessments. And here's where it gets very, very interesting with the Cambridge upper secondary, which is for age 14 plus. And again, a wider number of choice of subjects are there. And this is where you have your O levels. And Cambridge Advance, which is for 16 plus, essentially our 11th and 12th standard that we would call as AS and A levels. They also have the pre-U qualification. But at the same time, Cambridge also has a professional development for teachers and school leaders, because if you're going to teach the students who belong to these, who are a part of the Cambridge International Board curriculum schools, you will need to do understand what their learner attributes are. Cambridge wants their learners to be, what are they wanting their learners to be at the end of it? They want them to be very, very confident with the information that they're getting. And today's day and time where we have an information overload, they want the students to become confident with dealing with the information that comes their way, and also with the ideas that come their way, and as well as others. Cambridge focuses on wanting the learners to be responsible for themselves, but at the same time be responsive and respectful towards others. They want their students to be engaged intellectually and socially with an agenda of wanting to make a difference to the world. They want their students to innovate as well as equip for the future challenges. Today we are having this session through and being through technology enabled apps, and this is getting live streamed. 10 years back, I don't think most people would have thought that this was possible. But today, here we are doing an absolutely wonderful session that's going to be there for the students today for the next 4 days through these channels. So innovation and equipping for future challenges is what Cambridge believes. They certainly want their learners to be reflective and also have develop an ability to learn as well. So if this is your Cambridge learner, what's it like to be a Cambridge teacher? So I'm just going to walk you through a typical vacancy ad that's there for the IGC CSE teacher. This is as recent as 6 July that was posted, and it was for a school based in Delhi, an IGCSE school based in Delhi. The job was asking for a math teacher, secondary math teacher, who would start in August 2023. I want you to take a look at the academic and pastoral responsibilities, where they mention that you need to have child-centric lessons in a vibrant learning environment, which needs to be well planned. The teacher will also need to work with SENCO, which is the special needs coordinator, the administrator, and other teachers. They will need to develop and improve their knowledge and pedagogy so that student outcomes are improved. Now, also effective contribution to team planning is something that they have. Among other things that they focus on is developing reflective practice in the teacher. They want the teacher to use reflective practice and new learning strategies. I'm going to focus to the rest of the ad. And what is it that they require as qualification? Now, these are the bare minimum qualification that you need to have: a subject-specific bachelor's degree. You probably need to have the local teaching qualification or teaching license that's there. And you will need to have some years of experience post your qualification, not prior to your qualification. Please understand, after B.Ed, whatever your qualification, that's what is considered as qualification. as qualifying experience in most international schools. Now, other than that, other than your qualification, please understand they do not accept most schools, international schools do not accept distance or open university degrees. So you're very lucky to be a part of college which allows you to have a degree and a NAC accredited, a UGC accredited degree and a NAC approved, NAC accredited college, if I may say so. The other aspects, and now here is where your soft skill aspect comes into play. A creative and enthusiastic approach, both inside and outside classroom. You need to be an excellent team player, and you need to have IT skills as well as interpersonal communication skills to work closely with students and parents. So if this is what a typical vacancy or an advertisement for an IGCSE teacher is, then what is it that and who is it that can become a teacher in a CIB school in India? So you need to acquire your basic education, which means you have to have a subject specific degree. Either if you're going to take English language, you'll need to be an English literature graduate. Irrespective of your subject, you will need to be familiar with ICT and the tools that are used in today's time and age. So please keep abreast with the tools that are used, the ICT tools that are used. You also will need to be proficient in the English language. Even if you are a regional language teacher or a foreign language teacher, you will need to have a good level of proficiency for English language for the simple reasons that you'll have to communicate with the students, parents, and other staff members as well. You also need to have a local teaching qualification from a recognized university, a minimum of 3 to 5 years of teaching experience. You will need to get the required teaching certification or diploma from Cambridge Assessment International Examination. What is it that when we talk about with the certification that Cambridge has for you, let's take a look at that. It's called as the CIDTL, or the Cambridge International Diploma in Teaching and Learning, and it's designed and assessed and certified by the Cambridge Assessment International Examination. If you would like to know more about it and read it in detail, here's the link that I put it. You can take a screen grab of it and then look up the link later and read in detail about it. But I'm surely going to touch up a little bit more for CIDTL because you need to understand what is it and how it works for you to understand why these soft skills are important. Now, how is Cambridge Professional Development working in India? There are about 5 different qualifications that are offered in India, which is a certificate in teaching learning, certificate in educational leadership, diploma in teaching learning, diploma in educational leadership, and certificate in teaching with digital technologies. Now, across India, these are the number of centers that are there. Please understand in Mumbai, there are ample centers that you can have access to. So those of you who are based in Mumbai, you're really lucky. Except for the certificate in teaching with digital technologies, I believe it's in Hyderabad, but it's digital technologies, so they have it as an online learning module. So if these are the qualifications that you need to acquire post, one of the qualifications is where you can start with post your B.Ed degree. While you're getting your experience at the same time. Yeah. Having said that, what does this mean that Cambridge wants their teachers to have? They have very, very clearly defined standards for teachers. They need somebody who is able to demonstrate in action the knowledge and understanding of how students learn. They also want somebody who is able to have mastery over their subject matter and curriculum content and knows exactly how to teach that content. They want professional teachers who have strong values and attributes. And that's what we'll be talking about in your soft skills. What kind of values and attributes are they looking at? They also look at as teachers who would be able to establish professional relationships to develop and support teaching and learning. At the same time, they want the teachers to implement effective planning, learning, and assessment practice in their classrooms. They want their teachers to innovate and show how innovation is there in their classroom teaching practices. They want their teachers to maintain a very safe and inclusive learning environment. This is something that Cambridge schools really, really focus on and deliver, because that's a part of their standards and they strongly believe in it. They want to engage, they want the teachers to engage professionally with parents and communities as well. Please understand, communities are an integral part of any international board that you're going to want to work with. And professionalism is a key attribute that international schools are looking for, international curriculum schools are looking for, not the ones just named as international. Please make sure that you know the difference between the two. Getting it to, other than these standards, there is one more thing that you'll need to crack once you are giving or applying for becoming a Cambridge teacher, because this is how Cambridge then takes, those Cambridge School tests the teachers' soft skills. Okay, this is something that's copyright to Cambridge. They have their Cambridge Personal Styles Questionnaire. It's a psychometric assessment which gives an insight to what are the teachers' values, their attitude, behavior, and what is their personal style of teaching and interacting with people. We all know that for having, or rather for becoming a successful teacher, you not only need to be having mastery over your content or the ability to teach, you need to be somebody who will have much more than that. You will need to have resilience, conscientiousness. It's very, very important in a teacher, whether you're teaching in an international curriculum school or a regular school. Please don't compromise on that. And motivation, all of these are the ones that influence your individual success as well as the school's success, and also impact on the retention rate in a teacher. Now, what does CPSQ do is support you for your personal and professional development. Don't think of it as a threat. Please look at it as a tool that will help you grow personally and professionally. And it's a part of the teacher training for in-service teachers if you join a Cambridge school. Now, if this is what is going to be tested, how are you going to do this? How are you going to crack the CPSQ and become a good CIE teacher? There's only one thing that you can be doing right. And sooner you start, the better it is. You need to up your soft skill game. And I will dive deep into it right away for you. It's a long list, so be prepared to make notes because a lot of it is not going to be shown to you as text on the screen. Please understand that. If you want to gather more information and learn how to become better at your soft skills game, please take out your notebooks and pens, teacher, or your tablet or laptop where you're going to go ahead and key in what we're discussing as how to develop these soft skills. Okay, before we get to that, let's understand what soft skills are. They're very different from hard skills. Hard skills are things like lesson planning or being able to create an effective lesson plan or having good mathematical skill, computer skills in that sense. These are skills that are important for your performance of work activities. These are related to your personal qualities, your attitudes, and social management skill. It's very valuable in your workplace to ensure you are working in a team, you have excellent work ethic. And because they are intangible in nature, sometimes it's difficult to recognize or quantify or evaluate and develop them. But at the same time, we as teachers, you need to understand that we need to develop and have it. First and foremost, recognize what we have and what we don't have. And the ones we have, build on them. And the ones we don't have, we need to develop on them. The acquisition of such skills is absolutely, absolutely indispensable for a teacher who wants to make a difference in the life of her students and wants to make a difference through her teaching. So let's dive into it, and we're going to go in order of alphabetical order, and this is no chronological order. Nothing comes first or second. There are about 18 odd skills, soft skills that are needed in a CIB teacher, or for that matter, any international curriculum teacher. Again, I reiterate, even if you choose not to be a part of an international curriculum, kindly make sure you are having these soft skills, you're incorporating these soft skills in your teaching learning journey, because you're going to make a difference and impact lives of generations to come. So please make sure that you're taking this, even if you don't have any intention of becoming an international curriculum teacher. The first one is adaptability. What does adaptability mean? It is being able to respond effectively to change. Now, every teacher, we know that over a period of time, we've had to adapt. We have had to change things, especially with pandemic. I think we've all realized that everybody has been making changes in the field of learning technology and upping their game in technology. But at the same time, you also need to be aware of the best practices that are there. Okay, not just with in terms of technology. With the new NEP now, you will have a lot of changes in curriculum. You need to be able to adapt to all of it, and adapt in a very positive manner and an encouraging manner. And how is it that you can develop this? You need to adjust your lesson planning to engage students better, engage or incorporate the changes that curriculum will have in it as you go. There will be policy changes. You'll need to adapt to that. Very often, any of you, if you've had practice or if you're a practicing teacher in a school, you know how often timetable changing happens in a school. You're going today morning prepared for one particular lecture, and you realize that this class, you'll have a couple of more classes. So you need to adapt to that. And while teaching in a classroom, you need to be open as an international teacher, curriculum educator. You'll need to be open to having flexible learning strategies for different cohorts of students so that they can learn better. Coming to the next one, this is a skill I don't think I can reiterate how important it is for us as teachers to have effective communication skills. And fundamentally, this is one of the most simplest skills, but we tend to make maximum errors here. We fail and take too many things for granted while we're communicating. So please make sure while you're communicating, whether it is with your peers, whether it is with your top management, whether it is with your principal, or whether it is with your students or parents, make things very, very clear and communicate at the level that you are addressing to. So while you're teaching in your classroom to students, if you have a class, if you're going to teach something very difficult and then the students are not going to understand, you have to make it possible for them. You have to communicate that information in a very engaging and exciting manner that's right at the right level for the students. I'm sure all of you must have heard of the zone of proximal development. That's the perfect zone of communication with your students. As a teacher, it's important for you to be able to communicate well both inside and outside the classroom, because outside the classroom, you're also a representative of the school, of the organization. Please understand that. As well as you'll have to be able to communicate through different media formats such as Google Classroom, Canvas, Edutopia, or any other website which your college requires you to, or your institution will require you to use. How can you improve and develop your communication skills? Very, very simple, teachers. Please dedicate at least 30 minutes of your time for reading and writing regularly. Writing for yourself, not for the work that you're doing. Allow yourself to grow every single day. 20 to 30 minutes of reading for yourself to grow professionally will enable you to communicate much, much better with your audience. The third one, very important as a teacher, to have compassion. And what is compassion? It's a concern for others' well-being with a desire to help them. As teachers, we really need to be very compassionate towards our students. We really don't know what they must be going there in back there at their homes or with their friends on a playing field. What are they going through it? As a teacher, you need to understand your first duty is towards your learner. And very important, there will be times when you need to be very sympathetic towards your students, you're patient towards your students, because you're dealing with children who have a range of emotions. They're growing up, they are having to deal with different social interaction. Sometimes they are dealing with bullying issues as well. So you don't know what the child is going through, which is why very important to have compassion. Same with your peer, you need to have compassion. And how is it that you're going to develop compassion as a teacher? This is something my B.Ed teacher taught me when I did B.Ed back about 23 odd years ago, I suppose. Um, she would always greet us with our name. We were never a roll number for her. That stayed back with me. And to this day, I never address my students as roll number. I will address them by the name that they would like to be called. Some of them like to be called by their last names. I'm not a personally somebody who likes calling people by their last name. I think their first name is much better because that's why you own up your name. So greet the children by their name. I'm sure you all must have seen the videos of kindergarten teachers asking the children how do they want to be welcomed in a class, with a high five or with a hug, or let's say with a namaste, or whether they want to play a little game with their clapping hands kind of thing. That's actually trying to listen to what your child is trying to say. What's the mood? It's the mood engage indicator of your student. Practice active listening as a teacher. You need to be aware of your students' feelings. Sometimes you will need to make them aware of their feelings as well. You'll need to sometimes listen to them without offering any advice or solution. And as a teacher, please make sure you're enabling an environment where student voices are heard. One of the tricks that has worked in a school where I consulted, where we decided to have a kindness garden in a class, where every time a kind act was done in by a student in the class, we would create these paper flowers from leftover papers, color them, and then stick them on a stick and put that there with the name of the student. So you're kind of using paper and saving nature as well, but at the same time building a kindness garden, telling your students that kindness is important. All right. And this works even for 15, 16-year-olds. Trust me, they may make fun of it, but it works for them. They all feel good about it. The next one is creativity. As a teacher, every single day, your creativity will be challenged. You will need to think of delivering your topic in the most creative way. Please understand, it cannot be the same as you have delivered last year to the same kind of 8th standard that you taught or 10th standard that you taught. Every class is going to have its own character. Every batch will have its own character, and it will come with its own complexities and advantages. So you will need to be creative about your topic. Even if the content is not creative, you need to work on how are you going to make it more creative so that it's engaging for the students. This is very important if you want to avoid behavioral problems in classroom. Please understand that. If you make a unique lesson, the child's attention, children are going to pay attention. So if you have, you can probably have something as a pure learning strategy, which allows students to, let's say, read multiple examples of classmates that would showcase their exposure and how much they have understood of what the other student is writing. What you can do as an individual teacher, please have an artistic hobby, regardless of the expertise. Even if you're not an expert in drawing or craft or creativity, please have a hobby. That is kind of going to make your brain work towards thinking more creatively. You can use brainstorming activities in classroom. You can appreciate the unconventional and innovative ideas. And today, as consumers of Instagram and Facebook and TikTok videos, none of us are also far away from consumption of that. So try and watch content that will inspire you to become a good teacher and a creative teacher. um, Next is critical thinking skills, which means you have to engage in objective analysis of a topic and evaluate available information to form an opinion. Now, critical thinking demands the teacher to have a systematic approach towards in evaluating information. It encourages students, or rather, teachers, to ask questions, to reflect on the knowledge. And this is what you're going to teach your students as well. This is the core, at the core of critical thinking. It's about having good reasons for your beliefs, and it helps us in navigating our biases. That's what critical thinking does. And how can you, as a teacher, develop your critical thinking? Practice self awareness all the time. Acknowledge your bias, your preference, your strengths, your weakness. Try and understand your own thought process better. This is where journaling as a technique comes into play. Try and journal every day about your professional life as well. And when you're making decisions, evaluate it very objectively, and then take actions. I give this as a quick tip to teachers. Always ask the 5 Ws and the 1 H. I hope you all are aware of it, teachers. Who, what, where, when, why are the 5 Ws, and how, before you're going to evaluate a piece of information and offer an opinion or judgment. And yes, you need to be quick at that one while you're in a classroom. Cultural competence. This is a very, very important aspect, especially if you're teaching in an international curriculum school, because you might have students from different nationalities and not just different states of this country. You might have children who are here from expat parents who are here for work, and you will need to be really, really aware of that cultural diversity in your classroom. Please don't call it or address it as cultural difference. It is cultural diversity in your classroom. It's not a difference. And you, as a teacher, need to connect and include multitude of the cultural backgrounds in your classroom. For example, if you have children who are from Nigeria and in your classroom, and as a teacher, you can probably bring about some piece of literature, let's say maybe of a Nigerian author, Chinua Achbe's novel, Things Fall Apart. Discuss that story. Ask students from other communities and other countries who are there in your class to share things about their cultural background. That's something that will not be overlooked when you are giving an interview for a curriculum, international curriculum school. Please understand that this is something that is the culture fit is, and cultural competence is something that's very important in a school. You have to encourage students to be aware of and accepting of their cultural differences. And that's going to happen when you model it yourself as teachers. We'll go to the next second set of soft skills that are needed in an international curriculum teacher. Goal setting. Please understand, as teachers, as professionals yourselves, you will need to have short-term goals and long-term goals, not just for your classroom, but for yourself as a professional. You will need to, let's say, an example. I'm just trying to give you some examples of goal settings. Some teachers may have a goal that they want to become a better teacher of, let's say, math. She's a science graduate and has been asked to take on math for a particular class. So maybe her goal would be to become a better teacher in math this year. That's something that she has as a goal, as a long-term goal. Your short-term goal could also be, for this month, I'm going to try and see how many more creative lessons can I make. Somebody who's not great with organizational skill will have a goal as to how to become more organized as an educator. And how is it that you are going to develop this? Most important, organization and engagement are two things that you'll need to have here. You'll have to be more prepared for your class, and engagement can happen with class discussions. Listen of what more students have to say for you, and this can be done by asking open-ended questions. So you as teachers will need to work with students to probably make your class goals for that subject. And as team members, you will need to have discussion with other peers of yours as to what will be the goal of that department or team. The next we're looking at as a soft skill is leadership, which is we're all leaders in our classrooms. Teachers are the ones who are leading the way the class will move forward. Some of you may go on to become a head teacher or a principal in a school. And how is it that you're going to develop this? The only way to develop leadership skills is to take on more responsibilities. Get out of your comfort zone, teachers. You will need to take on responsibility that lie outside your day-to-day work. Only if you leave your comfort zone will you move to the zone of leadership. And one thing I would like to reiterate here, please understand, responsibility is not given, it is taken. So go ahead and take responsibilities, because it will only lead excellent growth for yourself and for your students. Multitasking. Now, we all know that teachers are literally jugglers. We juggle all the time between not just our personal lives, within our classrooms. We have to juggle too many things that are happening inside a classroom. You have a set of 40 students in your class. You have different personalities in your class, and you have to deal with all of them. And this is where every single class will make you test your multitasking skills. And how is it that you will handle multitasking? Is by making a to-do list. You will probably need to look at something called as time blocking. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Pomodoro technique. It's a 25-minute time block that you will give yourself to plan something, do something, and get that out, and then only take a 5-minute break. You'll have to avoid complete distraction towards while doing this. And while your ever-changing needs are there in the classroom, you need to understand you're somebody who needs to take attendance, you need to engage students, you need to provide materials for them in the classroom, give them assignments, give them directions for what is expected of them to do. You also have to document their behavior. This is something very crucial with international curriculum school. Please understand, documenting student behavior, informally assessing student understanding, those are things that needs to go on. And that means you as an international curriculum teacher will have your hands full. And the only way to do it is to be more organized. The next is nonverbal communication. We all know that teachers need to take control of their body language, because if you're going to communicate with students, it's not just going to be by using words. You will need to give that stare to that student who's misbehaving in the class. When you want to get the class's attention, you will probably need to stand in a particular place every single time, so that the students know that, if Miss is standing here, which means that is the teaching spot, and now she wants our attention. I had seen in one of the Instagram reels, which was shared by a teacher, where he does this exercise with his students. He's a fourth grade math teacher, I believe. Fourth grade teacher, not just math teacher. Fourth grade teacher, and he has this line called as hocus pocus, all eyes focus, and then he does directs towards him. He says hocus pocus, and the students repeat all eyes on the teacher. That's how the way of getting attention is there, through nonverbal communication, as well as engaging them with a very interesting way of paying attention to you. I cannot reiterate how important patience is as a teacher, because Patience is your ability to wait for success of your student, of your own work. And you always need to understand that success and results don't happen right away. It's not like magic trick that your students are going to learn the minute you taught them. There'll be some students who still are struggling and grasping. Slowly they will work towards it, and you'll have to walk them along. Be patient with them until their light bulb moment comes through. You cannot rush things just because you have to finish this lesson in 40 minutes. You really will have to give that time, but at the same time manage your time very, very carefully. How can you develop patience as a character in you? Is you have to identify possibilities of impulsive behavior where you are probably losing your cool in a classroom, or raising your voice, or behaving in a very erratic manner in the class. You have to monitor that closely, or even with peers for that matter. Problem solving as a teacher, you really are a troubleshooter constantly. Either it's the students that you're helping some solve some problems, or something that you're happening in class while you're taking the lesson. It's not going the way that you had planned it to be. Now what you need to do is you need to be able to identify after class as to what is it that was the problem, or even while you have to identify what's happening. Is my class today in a different mood today? Why is it that there's so much commotion in my class today? What is the cause of the problem? Is it something that happened just before my class? How is it that I'm going to put out this fire and get down the students' attention and solve this problem and work towards it? If it means giving that extra 5 minutes to hear out what your students have to say, give that time, because you will actually be having a very different kind of a classroom once you have heard them out. That's how you will be developing your problem solving skills inside the classroom. Professionalism. Teachers, an international curriculum school absolutely will not compromise on this, because you are accountable not just to the students in the classroom, but you are also accountable to your peer, to your management, to your leadership, to parents, and you will need to be professional in every possible way. So please understand, to develop professionalism, you need to probably watch out the way you're speaking, the tone that you're speaking to people, the way you're addressing them, how polite are you with when you're talking to people. All of these things account for professionalism, not just while your verbal communication, that is when you're speaking to somebody, but even when you're writing, the tone of your language, the way your Gen Z teachers, please don't use K or OK, O and K for replying to messages. Please understand, professionalism means having clear professional language, whether you're doing a verbal communication or a written communication. It's really, really important. Do not undermine this one. And as a teacher, what is more important than punctuality? Can you imagine what will be happening to a teacher who runs 10 minutes late into the classroom? We all know, we've had teachers sometimes come into our classroom who've been late, and we know what happens to a class of 14-year-olds when the teacher is late. You are going to have literal, the whole school will be aware that there is no teacher in that classroom. And leaving children unsupervised for so that long is not something that is expected of a teacher. So your peer colleagues will really be upset if you are going to be absent without informing. Unless it's a medical emergency, please make sure that you're punctual, on time, and you report for duty, because being a substitute for a no-show teacher is the last thing that a teacher wants, another peer or colleague wants, when their workload is enough to handle for themselves, when their hands are full. So please make sure that you are holding yourself accountable each day to be punctual, because this is not the responsibility of the school. This is a profession that you have chosen by choice, and your job is to be punctual in everything that you do as a teacher in your organization. Reflectiveness is a skill in today's time and age that a teacher cannot uh, um, really choose to ignore, because a teacher needs to pause at the end of the lesson and ask herself or himself as to how did it go, what was it that I can take away from this lesson in terms of experiences of student learning, in terms of experiences of how can improve it. And one of the ways that teachers can show reflectiveness is to discuss with the students how to use formative assessments, how she's planning to use formative assessment for future assessments. Also, you will need to incorporate some kind of reteaching strategies. Also, you need to reflect, how is it that I can make this lesson better for my set of students in this particular batch? Okay, you will be learning, I'm sure, in the a lot of models of reflective practices. The Gibbs model of reflective practices, one of the key things that a lot of teachers use. But you can also keep a teaching diary and also seek feedback from students. That's how you will develop your reflectiveness. It doesn't happen automatically, teachers. Um, Given the world the way it is today, resilience as teachers is something that we will really need to have, because we're going to have students who come from different backgrounds, which who have different kind of problems happening at home, or for that matter, they're going through changes in the way their hormones are behaving. And that will mean that you have a very, very tough student in classroom. You may also have to work sometimes late at nights, grading papers, working on a project. But you might be also, while, let's say, for instance, you might be in the middle of the day doing stuff and you receive an email. The principal calls you in saying that we've received an email from a parent saying that, you're not teaching well. Now, you need to not let that affect you for the rest of the day. You need to be saying, all right, I have got this feedback from the parent. Let me pause and think and assure your principal that you're going to work on it and look at this post your day today. And at the same time, you'll have to adapt and be resilient to it and continue to meet the need of the students that is there in your classroom. The only way that you'll build is every time you encounter such a situation which checks your resilience, please make a note of it in your diary and see what are the steps you take to recover from it. Teachers, I cannot stress the importance of social and emotional intelligence in a teacher, irrespective of you being um, international curriculum teacher or a regular state board teacher, CBSE teacher, ICSE teacher. It doesn't matter, even if you're a home tutor, that if that's what you're going to choose eventually. You need to be really, really able to gauge the students' emotional and social level. At all times, you will need to be calm, positive in the classroom. You will need to regulate your own emotions. You'll need to understand and get the pulse of your class, whether they're stressed or not. If you want to excel in your classroom and you want whatever you have planned to work, be sure to be cued into your classroom's pulse of at what level are they on the thermometer of the emotional level for the day. One of the practices that we were doing when we had gone to evaluate a municipal, I was called as a consultant for evaluating what are the problems that happen in a municipal school. Why are students in class 10 not paying attention even though they know they have an exam? And in one of the classrooms, I observed for about a week continuously, and I realized, and I got talking to the young boys in the class as to why you're creating so much ruckus. And I realized that every time the math period was there, it was post recess, and during math period is when they were creating maximum ruckus. And I realized that these students who were creating ruckus were not having a tiffin box with them. They didn't have food to eat. So all that the school needed to do was provide food for these students because they only provide till a particular age group in some of the schools. So that's all the change that was needed. But that needs to be something you as a teacher need to be aware of and not an external observer. All right. So you need to heighten your own social and emotional intelligence to identify the cues that your students are giving. Teamwork. If you want to succeed as a teacher, please understand you have to have the support of your teachers, of your peer, as much as your own excellence. It also, you will be asked to be communicating on a daily, week, or a weekly basis, where the individual students' needs or their behavior issues, their special education needs, their emotional and social needs to other teachers on a weekly basis, maybe. So, how are you going to develop this one? You will need to be involved. You'll need to make sure all parties are involved to share a common goal and have a collective effort towards it. Teachers will need to be open minded while working with others, and handling differences in a mature way is the only way forward if you want to succeed as a teacher in a team. Also be aware of hierarchies and the nature of the hierarchy and how it functions within a team. We need to understand how the dynamics of the school and its hierarchy. Time management, a skill without which I think teachers will never be able to complete their lesson on time. And this is something that you continuously learn when you're in your internships, when you're giving lessons. But at times, when you start doing this professionally, day in and day out, you realize that you're not up to the mark. So, how are you going to develop the time management skill? You have to create a schedule for your tasks and adhere to it strictly. You need to optimize the process the way you are doing your work. You need to break down your complex tasks into smaller segments and allot time for each of these segments. And that's how you're going to manage your time. So these were the 19 odd soft skills that you have as a teacher. Now, here's something if you need as an inspiration to become a better teacher. This is something that you can follow these handles. Teach with Tadak, he's an Irish science teacher. You have Mr. Naples, who's a fourth grade teacher. You have Teach with MRC, special ed teacher. And Teach with Me, she's a seventh grade math teacher. These are teachers on Instagram who are actually showing how they do how they are using the soft skills in their classroom. Please go ahead and follow them on Instagram. While you're on Instagram and scrolling content, consuming content, use content that will help you become a better teacher. And I have a small assignment for you. I hope Pinkney ma'am and other teachers who were there will be taking a reflective exercise, this assignment from you. I would like you to reflect upon your current hard skills, which will include whether your lesson planning skill is good, your mathematical skill is good, your computer knowledge is good, and also the soft skills that you possess, the 19 soft skills that we just spoke about. Make a list of this, all these hard skills and soft skills, and then you can create a resume based on it. And part two of that exercise is you will evaluate which of these hard skills and soft skills you need to acquire and learn to build or become a teacher in an international board. Set goals for yourself with timeline and see how you're going to achieve it. That is what I believe that teachers you will need to do to make sure that you are prepared to teach and become the teachers of the next generation. Thank you so much for your attention, teachers, and your patience. Over to you.
Thank you, Sushma ma'am. That's a bird's eye view to a long way for our participants to go. I'm sure they will take away good things from here.
Thank you for
So, yeah, ma'am. So we have come to our end of day one session, which was primarily on soft skills development, personality development, a stepping stone into the world of international board. So, as would-be teachers, Gen Z teachers, I am expecting that our participants today will always look forward to this session whenever they have a doubt and will work on the assignments also.
Sure.
Right?
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It was an honor. It was an honor to be a part of this program that you have. I wish, as a BEd student, I had this kind of a program. So your students are really lucky that they have this value addition program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Susma. Thank you, Kinkini.
Ma'am, we will move forward to our official vote of thanks, for which we have one of our Gen Z teachers with us as a part of our FIBH student. I would now hand over the mic to our student for the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of the Oriental College of Education and Management, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Ms. Sushma Nair. Thank you so much, ma'am. Sincere thanks to our principal and program director, Dr. Sangeeta Nath ma'am. A special thanks to our program coordinators, Ms. Kinkini Datta ma'am and Ms. Pooja Tiwari ma'am, who handled the event throughout with their consistent efforts. I thank all our professors and non teaching staff for their constant support and guidance. Finally, I would like to thank all of you present here for making the time to be with us today and helping us make day one of this event a grand success. Thank you, one and all, and let us all meet on day two. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we will be meeting on day 2 now. I hope everything is clear. We will meet on the day 2 and on the same time, 12:30.